What is up, and welcome back to another episode of So There's That. I am your hostess doing the absolute mostest, Kivanshi, and oh my god, I forgot my drink, BRB. So today's episode is not sponsored by Sable Bourbon, but I wanted to mention it. This is a whiskey created by More Chestnut, Harold Perrineau, Malcolm Lee, and Tay Diggs. So I tried it. I got me a bottle. I got my dad a bottle for his birthday. I like it. This is how much I have in here. It's really not a lot because it's strong, but it's good. And I just, I like supporting people that I genuinely like and whose platforms and whose careers I feel like align with my own personal values and stuff like that, and then also just consume things that I know that I normally consume regularly in real life. So cheers to you all over at Sable Bourbon. Maybe one day you will sponsor me, but right now I genuinely just enjoy it. So here's to them. Okay, today's episode hopefully is short. I do have things to do. I don't want to rush it, but I feel like I can have like a cohesive episode and like a cohesive thought about the sci-fi original network TV show, The Ark. So my second favorite genre. So here's about me. My first favorite genre is horror and all of its subgenres. Like, pick it, I'm gonna watch it. Second favorite genre is sci-fi, and my third is rom-coms, believe it or not. I know, like, it's like horror, sci-fi, and then rom-com. That doesn't even make any sense. But if you know me on like a personal basis, it's like, you know how like the opposite of love is indifference? It's like that for me. Like, the opposite of horror is rom-com, and I love both of them because I think the thing that threads all three of those together is the ridiculousness and the risk that people are willing to take whenever writing the stories, filming the shows, or filming the movies. It's more out of the box, and so it allows me to just be in like imagination land with everything. And so because everything is possible, it just immerses me. It's like an immersive experience in each of the genres, so it's really fun. So with today's episode, I'm going to try to review and just let you all know about 2 seasons. So season 1 of the Ark had 12 episodes. I'm gonna assume that season 2 has 12 episodes as well. Right now there are 10 episodes out available on the Sci-Fi channel, or if you have the Sci-Fi app, you can watch all 10 episodes. If you watch it on Peacock, new episodes air every Wednesday on there, and Peacock is a week behind. So if you're watching it on Sci-Fi, it airs on Sci-Fi every Wednesday at 9 Central, so regular cable TV. And if you're watching it on Peacock, it'll just air the week after. So right now, all 10 episodes are available on Sci-Fi, and it comes out tonight, and it's on the Sci-Fi app. But if you have Peacock, you're only going to see episodes 1 through 9. So I hope that makes it clear for you guys. Okay, before deep diving into the episode, again, just a quick checkup going on. It's Wednesday, September the 18th, and it feels like I've been in this week for 30 days and 30 nights. And I'm also gonna go watch that movie probably before bed because I love it. It's been a long week, and weird, I have an infection in my thumb. Like, I don't even know where it came from. So this is a lot of things happening, but overall mentally I'm excited. I am very, very busy. My brain is jumbled. It's working a lot, and I feel like no amount of sleep is really helping because there's just a lot of things coming up at the end of the month and like the first half of October. But I'm a hustler. I grind, I work hard, and I make shit happen. So we gonna make it do what it do, baby. And yeah, but other than that, health is good, life is good, and I can't complain because everything that's keeping me busy is like everything that I asked for. and everything that I've worked towards. So yay. With that, again, before getting into the episode, putting everything at the beginning because I know I'm gonna forget. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Leave a comment in the comment box below. You can also follow me on Spotify, and you can leave ratings, and you can also follow me on Apple Podcasts, where not only can you leave 1 to 5 star ratings, you can also actually write a review. You can follow me on Instagram at So There's That Podcast, and you can get my real-time thoughts about TV shows and movies on Twitter at Kivanchi. So there's all the ways in which you can communicate with me. I feel now I am reluctantly saying that I am chronically online, but not in the way that I don't have a life, because I be in these streets. But I'm just online, I'm available. I have all of my notifications on because people are hitting me up, opportunities are knocking, and so I have to like be glued to the phone. With that being said, I try to be very responsive to people who comment on things, whether it's YouTube, people who comment on the podcast platforms, and people who comment on Instagram. So while I'm here and at this level, and while I'm capable, I just love interacting with people and knowing their thoughts, because at the end of the day, I do this because I love it, not for opportunity, but I just genuinely love television and movies and just the film industry overall. So if you're new here, that's me, that's my spiel. You can watch all the other episodes, probably hear some version of that. But why are you here today? You're here about the Ark. So let's skip past this long drawn out introduction and get into it. Okay, so because I'm not doing like a single episode, I'm just gonna do like an overview of who created the show, who are the characters, and then give you the log line or the synopsis, and then I'm just gonna give like my thoughts, my ideas, my review on the TV show, what I think. And this is gonna basically like kind of get you caught up. Not a deep recap of seasons 1 and season 2, because that is like 12 plus 10, 22 episodes. I'm not going to give you 22 episode recap, but we're just going to talk about things, talk about some different elements. But come next week, you need to be caught up, because I'm talking about the show. But if you want to know what I'm thinking about, I have been talking about it on Twitter. So again, head on over. All right. So the TV show, The Ark, was created by Dean Devlin. And let's look on IMDb to see if he has any other work, because of course it wouldn't be me if I didn't forget to look up previous work. I'm always forgetting something. Oh my God, okay. He was a producer on Independence Day. He was a producer on Godzilla in 1998, Independence Day in 1996, and in 2016. Stargate. Okay, so he's definitely in like the sci-fi realm. So this is his niche, and honestly, I love that. When you just perfect this vision in genre TV and like genre film, you can really just play. Like there's nothing that you can't do because you've perfected it, and you are a master at your craft. And so I've seen all of those films, all of them, and watching The Ark, I'm like, wow, this makes so much sense. This makes so much sense. It's beautifully shot, it's beautifully directed. The way that they like transition through scenes, they do it a lot in season 1, not too much in season 2. It just kind of reminds me of like, while Independence Day, Stargate, and stuff like that was like movies, it still has that visual look of the lighting is like bright, like back in the day. I feel like a lot of TV shows now try to look like movies, and they try to make every episode cinematic to the point that we lose lighting. Can't see these freaking characters at all, and we kind of lose like the fun of it all. And one of the things that's really nostalgic for me is, you know, watching movies and television in the 90s, in the early 2000s, like they just took risk, and things were ridiculous, and it was wacky, and it was campy. But those are some of the things that maybe then people would be like, oh, this is terrible, whatever. Or maybe it was like straight to TV or straight to VHS or whatever. But now in 2024, we're craving those things. And maybe we're not necessarily craving the camera quality per se, but we're craving those simple elements that made a TV show and a movie just pop. And with that, the Ark is shot in a way that reminds me of like those Star Trek transitions where they're at the control panel and then they're getting ready to move to a different scene, and it's like this swoosh sound, kind of like a PowerPoint presentation. It's like a swoosh sound, and then you see like the stargazer in space, and then it swooshes back in and transitions to like a different scene. That's kind of how the transition is. And so it's like Star Trek mixed with like a Power Rangers type of look, so it's not grainy or anything, but just like bright. I hope y'all understand what I'm talking about. But it's something very nostalgic in the way that the Ark is shot. So while I'm watching it in 2024, I feel like I'm watching something that could have been born in 1998. And it's not trying to be a movie. It's not trying to be like spooky and mysterious and all these other things. It's just TV. And that's one of the things that I really love about this. So thank you, Dean, for keeping the basic foundational elements of what sci-fi is in those sci-fi feels, especially in a TV show that makes me feel like I'm watching a TV show and that I'm not watching a TV show that's trying to keep up with silver screen. Okay, so this is a big ensemble. Huge. So I'm gonna give you the main people who at least survived from season 1 to season 2. Doesn't mean that the characters in season 1 weren't great. They were awesome, but I'm trying to pack 22 episodes into one overarching podcast episode. So we're gonna give you the main players. We have Christie Burke, who is Captain Sharon Garnett. You'll hear her be called by Sharon or Garnett, but she is in like the military, so most of that is by last name. We have Ritchie, who plays Lieutenant Lane and Ian, so he is a clone. We have Richard Fleeshman, who plays Lieutenant Brice. Stacey Reed, who plays Alicia. Ryan Adams, who plays Angus. Pavle Jerinic, who plays Strickland. Shalini Peiris, who plays Dr. Sanji. Tiana Upcheva, who plays Ava. Paul Leonard Murray, who plays William Trust, one of my favorite characters to hate. He's so funny in just such a dry, sarcastic humor way. I love him. Jaldran Malkovich, who plays Dr. Murray, and Samantha Glassner, who plays Kelly. Sidebar, but still on track, I want Samantha Glassner to be like in like Resident Evil type movies and stuff like that. She's really good. The way that she moves her body, her presence and stuff on screen with the character that she's playing as Kelly, it just makes me really excited to see her in like Fifth Element style movies, Tomb Raider style movies, Resident Evil, zombie movies. Like, she would be great in sci-fi, horror, thriller for sure. While I can see her doing like drama and stuff like that, I just really like the way that she physically moves on camera in this space. So now that we have the characters, I'll tell you what the show is about. So the show follows the remaining crew of a spacecraft known as Ark One, which was built by William Trust, who must become the best versions of themselves to stay on course and survive after experiencing a catastrophic event that caused massive destruction and loss of life. So first and foremost, the biggest premise is Earth is imploding collapsing. It's not livable anymore, and we've seen these storylines and stuff before. So a lot of people were put on these arks, and there are many arks, and different people went at different times, you know, just to make sure, okay, they went, okay, this was successful, now let's, you know, let's go in like delayed increments. And in this one, they wake up because there's like a tragedy happening. So they're waking up well before they should be woke, and they find that more than half the crew on the ship was killed. A lot of equipment, supplies, and everything was destroyed in whatever it was that made them wake up in the first place. And they need to figure out how they're going to survive. You have 3 commanding officers who were like actually in the military, and everybody else is just regular civilians. So it's like, how do we, as the only military people, the only people who have the know-it-all to get things done, how do we now bestow that knowledge onto the people on the ship to get them to trust us and to get them to use whatever skill, no matter how small or how big, they have to get us to survive? So we're going through this thing, and it's really all about trial and error. But Lieutenant Garnett steps up immediately and basically commands. And she doesn't do it in a way that's like, oh, you know, tyranny or whatever, couldn't think. But she does step up to the plate. But in her leadership, obviously, like all leaders, you fail. You come up against people who don't believe in you or don't trust your judgment and things of that nature. So she's really fighting to create a relationship between herself, Lieutenant Lane, and Lieutenant Brice, because at the end of the day, they all have to be on the same page so that everybody else on this ship can trust them and believe that they can keep them alive. Along the way, as they're experiencing a lot of different catastrophic events, they find other civilians like Angus, who's really good at horticulture and found a way to be able to grow food and everything on the ship. Then they found Alicia, who was in waste management, but girlie has like 4 or 5 degrees, and she's really good at like physics, electromagnetism, space, this and the third, and she studied all of William Trust's work. So as they're going through, they're kind of rebuilding leadership on the ship, and the people, as they're getting through the panic, as they're getting through like the denial phase and things like that, Lieutenant Garnett builds a council that consists of people who represent the majority of the people that's on the ship. So it's like Space, The Walking Dead, if I had to give it something. Because in The Walking Dead, everybody's a zombie, basically. The disease is in everyone. If you die, you come back to life. There's nowhere to go. You cannot escape it. And so while there isn't disease on the ship, there's nowhere to go. We are in space. So some of the things that we're dealing with in space are, you know, mutinies, running up on other ships, like running up on other people. Like, unfortunately, we're still beefing in the galaxies. Why? I don't know. We all just trying to live, but they're still fighting for their lives. So you think it would be something like, oh, okay, cool, let's just figure out how we're gonna eat, you know, let's figure out, you know, if water's gonna last, like what we're gonna do. It's like, oh no, we took this damage and this whole thing is getting ready to fail, and if we don't fix it in 5 minutes, life support is gonna shut off and everybody's gonna suffocate to death. So not only do they have other people and like intergalactic beef to worry about, a lot of the issues is repairing the damage to Ark One and making sure that the ship that they're on does not kill them. And so in this, we are questioning humanity, we're questioning drives. Some people were on that ship had criminal past, maybe past that they didn't want to get out. Maybe they're running away from relationships or people or jobs or whatever. And you find that whatever prejudices or biases that they had, you know, GSA versus EFA and the rich versus the poor and this family versus that family, the only way that they're going to get through this thing together is to really put it all out on the table and just be like, okay, it's here, now what? How does that change the fact that you need me, I need you? Yes, we were in those organizations, but we are not the representative of those organizations, and we also may have been duped as well. And so it kind of is like, it's like your mom and your dad are mean and evil, but you're not. And then everybody's like treating you like you're your mom and your dad, and they don't give you the opportunity and the chance to just be yourself and to be your own person. So those are some of the things that come up in space where they really have to look at each other and be like, so we've been on the ship for like 8 months. If I was really that type of person, I would have been sabotaged you. I would have been killed some people on the ship. I would have done things to not survive. So let's put all of our cards on the table and let's just build a new humanity. So the light of the entire show is, what do we do when faced with adversity, and what type of person are we going to be as we face it? Are we going to continue to kill and just fight to live, and oh, we're running up on these people, let's kill them before they kill us? Or are we going to try to be vulnerable and lay bare everything that's going on in the truth and try to rebuild the world that we were escaping from? Why leave Earth to build a better life on another planet if we just killing each other on the way to get there, like in a race, and then we end up being there with like 50 people? Who repopulating this? Who repopulating these planets? Like, what are we doing? If we're just killing each other, then what? Like, what's up? And so you have all of these elements, but then you also have cloning and what that means and what that presents for everyone. We have post-humans as well. And so that's one of the things, again, with sci-fi, there are no rules. I am not a scientist, I'm not a physicist, I'm not an astrophysicist, so I don't know that the calculations and the things and such that they're saying in the show is necessarily like factually correct, but it makes each episode and each challenge interesting. And you might be thinking, okay, well, they're in space, like, what more can we do? We can do whatever we want. Wormholes, black holes, getting stuck, crash landing on a planet, a star is getting ready to run into you and burn up your whole shit, the engine system shut down and everybody's getting ready to die. Do we have food? Do we have enough water? There's so many things. And so what I love about each episode is, while the main through line is keeping humanity alive, each episode gives you something that makes it feel as though it can stand on its own. And they give you a recap previously on blah, 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 blah. So they're recapping everything in the first place, and then you can just watch it, which makes me feel, and hopefully the network keeps it going, that the longevity of the show can be that of Star Trek. Now, I didn't watch Star Trek. I used to put it on as a kid to take naps. But I feel like it was on for a long time. Like, the Gen Zers and the Boomers was talking about it for forever. I don't know. But there's so much you can do. And because of that, it'll never get dull. Like, it just seems like, I don't know if Dean has an end to it. Like, I know some people start writing shows and they're like, I want to do 8 seasons and then like that's it. And then some people are like, hey, I want to just see where it goes and what we can do. And then they allow the writers to have like full creative autonomy to get these stories to go, looking at the actors and actually playing on the chemistry of the 2 actors and their characters, and then developing new storylines from there that may have otherwise not existed by the creator of the show. And so with that, like I said, you have all these other elements of like types of humans, the things that you can implant into people's bodies to make them do things and to make them not do things. And you know, the rich and the billionaires and the trillionaires and, you know, the leaders of the world, and what their motivations are that they presented, and what's their ulterior motives as well. And we're trying to figure all of this out in space. No information. You don't know what happened. You don't know how many other people got off of Earth. And so everything is a surprise. And so because of that, I'm genuinely in love with the show. The Ark is, for sci-fi TV show, for me, it's definitely, I would give it 4.2 stars. I would give it 4.2 stars. And the reason it's not getting all 5 is because it's personal. Something just happened and I didn't like it. And I was just like, whatever. Like, the actor is cool and everything, but I just didn't like where that storyline went. And I'm curious as to where it's gonna go now that they made this decision, because it could potentially get weird. That's all I can say. It could potentially get weird. So, but it's, I mean, it's sci-fi though. Everything is weird. I would really love to see some aliens in the near future, or some type of non-human being in space, and just kind of see what that is and how it throws a wrench in everything. I think that would be really nice. But other than that, the Ark is absolutely amazing. The way that it's shot, the way that the storylines and the plot line go is very reminiscent of 90s, like early 2000s. And I love that it's weekly. Like, please get us back to weekly television, get us back to network television, because I'm over binge watching. I'm over binge watching. It's done. It's old. But I like the model that Sci-Fi is employing. I like the model that AMC Plus is employing. And it kind of reminds me of the original model that Netflix employed when, like, How to Get Away with Murder would, like, be on TV. And then once the season was done on TV, then Netflix would acquire distribution rights to run the whole season on Netflix, so that you can catch up and rewatch everything like that. So while they're not doing it similarly, I like that weekly Sci-Fi is going to play the episode, like the current episode, on their network, and then you are going to be a week behind on Peacock. So if you want to be caught up on everything, you get driven back to the actual cable network so that they can get their network ratings for there. But then at the same time, Peacock still eats, because instead of waiting until the whole season is done on TV, you're just a week behind on Peacock. So if you don't have cable television or anything like that, you're not really missing out on too much, because you can just go to Peacock and watch it. And once the whole season is done, you still have it available on Peacock. So I think it's a very smart decision with what Sci-Fi is doing. And I just look forward to getting back to my Sci-Fi movie Sundays. I literally, up until 2018, every Sunday I was watching sci-fi movies or sci-fi TV shows. So I'm just really excited that there's a sci-fi TV show that has the energy and the modernality of 2024 storylines, with the energy and the direction and cinematography of something that reminds us of something back in the day, that actually makes us feel good when we see it. So there's that. That is the Ark in a nutshell. Okay, go watch the show. I was gonna say please, but I mean, I think it's implied. Please go watch the show. It's available on Peacock, and it comes out weekly on new episodes on Sci-Fi at 10 p.m. 9 Central. Okay, so make sure you check your local listings. Again, support sci-fi. I don't know that sci-fi necessarily needs support, because friends just get together and they're just like, let's just make a ridiculous movie, and then they do it. And I'm glad that we still have network television that supports the ridiculousness. But this is not far-fetched. It's not ridiculous. And again, if you watched Star Trek, Star Wars, Final Destination, so like Friday the 13th, Halloween, if you watched anything that is unreal, then you can definitely consume this show. And it's not too sciencey or mathy that it would go over anybody's head. They definitely speak in a way that somebody who hates math will understand and won't be turned off by any of the information and stuff that's going on. And they have characters who don't understand those things either. So the scientists and the things of that nature that's aboard these ships, because they have an audience within their cast who don't know what they're talking about, like they don't understand, they're constantly like breaking down like the most basic levels of things when something goes wrong or as they're trying to explain something. So you're definitely not gonna get lost. I personally enjoy these things like CSI Miami, the whole CSI franchise, when they're like, oh, let's do the autopsy on this, and then they're explaining like all the different chemical makeups and all these other things. I personally enjoy that. And so it definitely has like that feel with it too, but it doesn't go above your head. So with that, I'm going to wrap up this episode. Again, check out the Ark every Wednesday night, 10 p.m., 9 p.m. Central. And then if you missed it on that Wednesday, you can watch it on Peacock at the following week. And Peacock releases the episodes every Wednesday. And with that, I will see y'all in the next one.